Hello, my name's Richie Walton, and I'm going to be showing you a multiple exposure edit today. We're going to be using Lightroom to begin with, and then we're going to go into Photoshop and use some layer masks and piece them all together. Okay, so the first thing we do, I've opened up this image, and we're actually in Develop in Lightroom. There we can see Develop. Now the first thing I'm going to do is right click on the image and I'm going to make a virtual copy. So create a virtual copy. And I'm just going to start with 2 to begin with, because the main thing I want to do is do an edit on the sky. I really want that sky to pop out, get some more detail in the clouds and give this a bit more contrast, and then piece the 2 together. Okay, so there we go. I've made my virtual copy. Just going to click onto the first one. Now the first thing I'm going to do is do the edit for the bride and groom there. They're pretty well exposed, a little bit flat, so I'm just going to put some contrast in there. Just going to up the exposure a little bit, not too much, and we're going to give it a bit of contrast. Again, nothing too much, up to about 45. Okay, so I mean that's pretty straightforward really. We've just done an edit. I mean obviously you can spend more time if there's a certain look you'd like to get. You know, we're just looking at a basic sort of looking photograph at the end of this. Right, so I've done the bride and groom. I'm going to click onto my second image, which is the same image. It's back to the flatness. And I'm just looking at doing the sky for this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my exposure down a touch, and this is the beauty of shooting in RAW. You know, we've got so much detail there, I can take it right down depending on the edit. You know, that again is sort of personal preference. It's not going to be too dark, this image, so we're going to leave it about there. So we better stop darker, look at bringing the contrast in. Now the contrast, I find it can often blow the white out in the clouds, so we're not going to put too much contrast in on that. Clarity, always great for clouds. Let's just pop those out lovely. And that's basically it for now. So we've got the first image, which is the bride and groom. They're exposed alright. And the second image, which is the sky. So what I'm going to do now is just export both of these. So if I just click shift and click, I've selected both, right click, go up to export, and we click on export. Just always check your settings. JPEG quality always on 100, color space sRGB, that's fine. Put in subfolder. Now this is personal preference, but I like to type in edited JPEGs just so I know these are the ones that I've actually taken into Photoshop and done an actual edit on, and that's great. Just click on export. Okay, so my images have been exported from Lightroom, so I can now go up into bring Photoshop open, click on my images, there we go, edited JPEGs next to my RAW files. This a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. Thumbnails. I'm just going to drag them both into Photoshop. Okay, just wait for John's computer. Here we go, so we're just gonna, we're still waiting on John's computer, 1990s. There we go, both images in Photoshop. Alright, so what we're gonna do is, I mean now there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either paint the sky in, or you could paint the foreground and the couple in, whichever's easiest really. I mean in this case I'd probably paint the sky in. So what I'm going to do is take this image and drag it on top of the darker image. If I hold shift while I'm dragging it in, it'll place it exactly on top. I'm going to close this image now because I don't need it. So we just close that, and we're just working on this image. All we really need for this is our layers. So we've got the two layers there. There's your darker one and the brighter one. I'm going to go to layer, and we're going to go down to layer mask, reveal all. Alright, so this is really easy. I mean, there's loads of ways of doing this, but the layer mask, you know, is really the easiest and quickest way for me anyway, and hopefully for you. Click on the layer mask. We go over to the paintbrush. Click on the paintbrush. We're going to do 100%. Now, right, so I'm just using my brackets on the keyboard. It's a nice shortcut. Just makes my brush bigger and smaller. It's just a lot easier than going up. You can do it up here, but it's a bit of a nightmare. So just your brackets, left and right bracket, to make that bigger and smaller. And then if we press X, it will take us from black and white. You can see just over this area here, black or white, and that's going to determine painting it in or painting it out, so to speak. Okay, so press X, so the black is showing, and we're just literally painting the sky in, or painting any areas that you want in from the layer beneath. Okay, so we're just pretty straightforward. Just going to zoom in, Control plus a couple of times, zoom in, pressing the space bar, using the hand to move it around, and I'm just painting it in. Obviously careful. I mean, depending on what the image is for, is sort of how long you would spend on it, you know. If this was, you know, one of sort of 30-40 romantic photos going in an album, you know, you don't want to spend all day on each image. So we're going to do this pretty quick. Just missed a bit there. Zoom in nice and close. Some of this land, I'm going to press X now, and I'm just going to paint, brighten this back up a bit, I think. We can see, we can zoom out a bit. Does it look too bright? I think it probably does look too bright, so I just press X again. So I'm just bringing in the layer from below, the darker layer. That's nice, just pop the bride and groom off that background a bit more. I came onto the grass a little bit there. Darker behind his head. That's great. And there we go. So straight away you can see we've got some nice detail in the sky. You know, we started off with that. Right, so if I turn that off, I can't show you how it looked originally because I closed it down. But anyway, you get the idea. That's a nice double edit. I mean, that's taken 5 minutes. You know, pop the sky, looks great. It's a bit flat in the foreground. We could go back into Lightroom and do another edit for the foreground and come back and paint that in. You know, you can do edit for the horses. You could do another edit for the background there, edit for the sky. You know, so sometimes you could be doing perhaps, I mean, some photos, you know, if I'm entering competition, you know, it could be easily 8 to 10. You know, different edits for each part of the image. But, you know, for a simple wedding photo, like I say, you don't want to be spending all day on every image. 5 minutes, you've got yourself a nice bit of detail in the sky. The bride and groom are exposed nice. And that's pretty much it for this one. We just go to layer, flatten image, and then just file save. File, if you want to save as, just so you've got your original edits if you think you need to go back. And that's pretty much it. I hope this has been of some use to you, and I'll see you next year. Thank you very much. Bye.